Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's AutoCAD webinar on building your AutoCAD IQ. We're happy to have you with us. Today we will be discussing templates, how to use them, how to create them, and how they can increase your workflow and make things a bit faster for you. So as usual, Volker will be leading our session today. We also have Dave Pothier joining us today from Autodesk. Any of you who have worked with support before might recognize Dave. He's been with us for quite some time, so we're happy to have him with us today as well. So we are going to start with just a few polls as normal. If you've been here before, these will look familiar to you. So we'll give just a minute here for everyone to announce if they've been to a webinar before. And it looks like the grand majority have been with us before, so we're happy to have you back. And the newcomers, as always, welcome. And hopefully next week you'll be one of the ones that clicks. This is not your first time. We're hoping to get everybody back. We'll close that out. And the second one, which is just to get an idea of which software everybody's using. And again, if you've attended before, you'll know that most of what we go over is applicable to any of the software that we use. But we still like to get an idea of what everybody's using just to make sure we're catering these webinars to the best of your needs. So looks like close to 80% are on AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT, and then the rest look to be on one of the verticals. So fantastic. So I will close that as well. And without any further ado, we'll turn the session over to Volker.
All right. Thanks, Sean, and welcome, Dave. Dave will be here to heckle me as appropriate. It's great to see everybody back, for those who have come back, and it's good to see all of you who are new to our presentations. Before we get started, for those returning, you're getting bored with this, I'm sure, but for those new, feel free to leave questions in the chat window. Dave and Sean will be answering those as best as they can, and if not, we'll follow up. This session will be recorded, and a slide deck will be available at the link that is shown. Also, in the post-webinar email, you'll get a link to the slide deck as well as to the YouTube channel where the recordings are stored. So we also encourage you to check out our landing page for upcoming webinars, and that we will have Q&A following this webinar. We're trying to make them a little bit shorter so we can get all your questions answered. But you're always welcome to email your feedback to us at the address listed here at the bottom of the PowerPoint slide. So don't hesitate to do that. Future ideas, thoughts, concerns, folding, spindling, stapling, and all that. Some of our previous webinars these are the ones that are available on the YouTube channel. Build Your AutoCAD IQ is the playlist, and this will be webinar number 24. Time has just flown by, so to cover in some of the, say, the current webinar and future webinars is using topics that we've discussed in previous webinars. So be sure to check those out if you want to find out more information about some of the tools we used. Finally, don't forget about our Autodesk Knowledge Network. The featured articles right now are listed right here, although these are updated as the articles are produced, as issues come up, as hot fixes or service packs are uploaded for you to download. And there's a lot of good stuff, tutorials, troubleshooting, as well as downloads are available here. Check it out if you haven't already. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about templates, and we'll also show you where those templates are, which ones are installed with AutoCAD, how to start AutoCAD without a template. And there are several reasons to do this. One is one reason, which I'll explain as we move on. The other one is if you ever have a problem with your drawing files, and the same issue occurs with one of the installed templates that you have, you could start AutoCAD without a template to see if the same issue exists in a blank canvas. We're going to create a custom template, and we'll be using things like Design Center and some existing drawings to do this. And we will show you how to launch AutoCAD with your custom template. So what is a template? Well, it's basically, templates are found in just about any Windows software, anything that has a document. Microsoft Word uses templates, Excel uses templates, Publisher uses templates. They're just a canvas that has some preset settings or variables, what font is being used. In an AutoCAD drawing, their default unit set, there are the grid is turned on by default, as well as some things like the navigation bar. Okay, well, many of these configurations or settings may not suit your needs, so you may want to tailor a template to where it suits your working environment. There are several templates included with AutoCAD. The AutoCAD by default uses one called the AutoCAD.DWT. DWT is just shows that it's a drawing template. AutoCAD LT would use the AutoCAD LT drawing template. So why create custom templates? Well, it will save you time in the sense that when you start a new drawing, you don't have to add your layers maybe or add your plotter settings to the drawing. You don't have to recreate all this stuff, layouts, textiles. The stuff is there when you start a new drawing. All you have to do is create your work, and the rest is already done for you. It also enforces standards. So whether you have your own standards as an individual drafter or you're part of a large organization, a drawing template will ensure that the user is working with the correct layers, the correct text styles, dimension styles, and so forth. It is just a great way to keep things consistent. So some of the things that are in the template are, one, your drawing units. Are you working with an architectural drawing, a civil engineering drawing, a structural drawing? So you want to have the appropriate drawing units applied to your template. Some of the CAD standards, like the layers, the properties of the layers, what color, line, weight, line type, so on. Text styles, dimension styles, table styles, visual styles, things like this can be part of the template. You can also pre-apply your plotter settings. So what layouts are in that template? Do they have a title block in them already? You can put those in there already. And what page setup? So what plotter is being used, the paper size, and so forth. These are just some of the things that you can put into your templates. So we shall now take a look at how all of this works. Okay, I want to start off with the location of where your AutoCAD templates are. By default, they are stored in the Users App Data folder. I'll just back up a little bit here. So we have users, here's my username, App Data. Then they're in Local, Autodesk. In this case, I'm using AutoCAD LT 2015, Release 21, ENU, and then Template. Okay, so it's in the Local folder. Now, one of the things that occurred to me about 30 seconds before we started the webinar is that Windows, XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, whatever, by default does not show the extensions for your files. And the user's app data folder is actually a hidden folder, so you may not see any of this stuff. Local, low, and roaming. You may not see any of this. So I'm going to show you briefly how you can modify this if you don't see this. And you also want to have your extensions showing as well. By default, Windows does not show those. So I'm digressing here, but it's worth the time. In most cases, you may not have this file edit view in your Explorer enabled, so you would have organize available though. And then you would want to go into folder and search options. In the folder options dialog, select the view tab, and then you want to show hidden files, folders, and drives. That will make the app data folder available to you to where you can see it. I also like to uncheck hide extensions for known file types, okay, so that I do see the extension. Yes, it'll tell you it's a drawing template or drawing file, but if you need to change the file extension, it can be difficult if you don't show these. So I uncheck that. I then click Apply, but I also click Apply to Folders before I click OK, because this will apply it to all of my folders using Windows Explorer. If I just apply, it only applies it to this one app data folder. It's up to you, but this is how we get there and how you make those changes. So getting back to the templates. Your template folder installed by AutoCAD has several different templates in them. Notice the extension DWT. AutoCAD LT DWT is the default. And there's also some for metric. We also have some sheet set templates here. Some title blocks. Notice that's a DWG file though. And we have some templates for DGN. If you're importing DGN files, you can map using these templates. A lot of this obviously we're not going to have time for. Now the thing is that we can also in AutoCAD LT redirect where our folder is going to be, where AutoCAD looks for its templates. And I'll be doing that because I have my default folder right here, my working folder, and I want to use it as my folder as a default for all my templates. We'll just pretend all my files here are going to be templates. So for, basically, we'll do that in AutoCAD in a few minutes. Now the thing is that any drawing file that you have can be a template. Okay, so I have this Acme Arc Proto drawing file here. All I have to do is change the extension from DWG to DWT, and I now have a template file. And you'll see how that is in a moment in AutoCAD. But if you've already have something set up, you've modified a DWG to be your template, just use the Save As command in AutoCAD, or in Windows Explorer, change it to a drawing template file. Right. Okay, so we'll be getting back to these folders in a moment. Right now I'm going to go into AutoCAD LT, and let's take a look at a couple of things here. First of all, up here we have the Q New command or New command. Now when I select that, it brings up this Select Template dialog. And right now it's going to the App Data folder. And it shows me all my templates. That's all fine and dandy. If I go to the Application menu and select New, it does the same thing. Yes, I know that was redundant. There's a reason I'm showing you this. I'm going to cancel out of that. And I'll go into Options. I've right mouse clicked over the command line. I'm going to go into Options. And under Files, we have all our support files, and we have this template settings. Now, for those using AutoCAD, the full-blown version or the verticals, you'll also have a couple of more branches here for sheet sets. LT, this is what we're going to be seeing. So here it shows you that same location for our drawing templates, and I'm going to redirect that in a moment. But the first thing I want to do is that I always want that AutoCAD LT DWT to be available to me, and I don't necessarily want to move it to my custom template folder. So what I'm going to do is double-click on None. I'm going to select AutoCAD LT.dwt and click Open. Once I've clicked Apply here, anytime I use the QNew command, it's going to launch with this template instead of prompting me with a dialog. And I'll show that in a moment. Go back here real quick. Whoops. And what I'm going to do is just copy my path so I don't have to do a lot of browsing. All right. What I'm going to do now is redirect the drawing template file location to my working folder. Whoops, that's right. It has a browse dialog, so I have to browse anyway. So let's go to users, me, box, webinars, templates. All right, so I click OK here, and that is now the working folder for templates. Click Apply, click OK. And now, so first of all, remember this button, the new button up here? If I click on it, instead of prompting me with a dialog, it just automatically opens up that template. So a quick way just to start a new drawing based on whatever template you want to use right there. I'll go ahead and close that one. If I click on New, it still gives me the option to select a template. Now, notice here's that Acme Arc Proto DWT. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And I know it's hard to see, but up here it actually says drawing3.dwg, which of course means it's an unsaved drawing and that it was based on a template. So basically I've created a drawing file, renamed it, and I am now using it as a template. And the first time I click Save, it'll prompt me to save the drawing, just like any other drawing which you've begun using a template. Now, maybe I don't want to rename a drawing every time to start it as a template. Let's say I want to open up an existing drawing that I have. All I have to do is modify it as a drawing for another project. Okay? Well, I could open it up and use the Save As command and such, but what I'll do instead is I'm going to switch to Drawing from the Select Files of Type, and now it shows me all my DWG files. And so now if I want to, I can just use that. And again, this is hard to see up here, but it now says Drawing 4. So basically this is being treated as a template now. So some great ways to start working with drawings using any available drawing as a template. All right, I'm going to close those without saving. And here we are in AutoCAD. This is the default brand new drawing. I have the grid enabled. I personally don't like to work with this unless I need it. We have the navigation bar up here in the top right, and I personally don't use this. I have other methods of getting around in AutoCAD. You may need it, but I don't. So in a new drawing, I would prefer to have this stuff turned off. And there are other settings as well. I like to tailor my drawings the way I prefer to work, and I think most of us do. So I'm going to click on New here, and I'm going to, next to the Open command, there's a nice little function here. Most people probably don't even realize it's there, but we can open any selected drawing, which is, well, why go there if we have the two important ones, Open with no template or Open with no template metric. So Open with no template, imperial, or metric. So here's what happens. AutoCAD needs to have a startup drawing. regardless whether you're just starting with the startup page and no drawing that has begun yet, it needs some kind of a drawing file. And if there are no templates available, what AutoCAD does is it creates a drawing from scratch, from its AutoCAD executable file, and it creates that drawing based on the units of your operating system. So if your operating system is using imperial units, it's going to start a new drawing based on that, or new template file based on that. If you're metric, then metric. Here you have a choice. So I'm just going to click on that, and it begins a new drawing. And you'll see that there is no grid here. There's some things that are still turned on, like the nav bar. Okay, well, this is going to be my template. So I'm going to go ahead and type nav bar and turn that off. So now that's disappeared. And I'm going to go ahead and use since it's drawing 5.dwg, right now I'm just going to go ahead and save this, but I'll save it as a template file. And note the folder. It's going to where I have my custom templates. I'll just call this Acme. And I'll click Save. Up comes a Template Options dialog. This is just a description, so custom template for Acme Inc. All right. So here you can also disable or enable the layer reconciliation function that's available in AutoCAD. Here you can also change the measurement from English to metric in case you grabbed the wrong one. But I didn't. I'm going to click OK, and now I have a acme.dwg template file. All right, so I'm going to be adding some content next. And the way I'm going to do this is using Design Center. I'd like to point out that, we have no layers in here. If we go to the Annotate tab, all we have here are the standard and annotative dimensions. We only have standard or annotative text, okay? But I have several drawings on the hard drive that each one of them has a bit of what I need to have in my template drawing. So again, I can type ADC, or I can use Control-2, or I can go to the palettes on the View tab, Palettes panel, and here I can select Design Center. We actually did a presentation on this a long time ago, and I've put the link to that in the PowerPoint slide deck. It's a two-part video. We had some problems with recording, so I'm going to tell you right now that the Design Center recording is, well, the resolution is pretty bad on it. So kind of like Gravity, the resolution sucks, for lack of better words. It just, but it's still good to see, and good to see how Design Center works. All right, I never did set my home tab, so I'm going to have to browse to where my files are. Drive. All right, so using Design Center, and there we go. All right, so having used Design Center here, I'll go ahead and set this as home so I don't have to browse to it again later. Here's that template I just created, but here are the drawings that contain all my stuff. So I'm just going to double click on Acme Layers. And obviously you wouldn't have them named like this, but it makes it a little easier when I'm trying to present and demonstrate. So I'm going to double click on layers. So it shows all the layers that I like to use for my particular standards. Oops, I actually grabbed the wrong way. There we go. Go ahead and select those. Let's use Control key, select the rest of them, and I'm just going to right mouse click and add these layers to my current drawing. And if we go to the layer drop-down list, now I have all those layers in my drawing. Now I'll go ahead and add some dimension styles. So I've got one Acme Dims. It has a couple of dimension styles I like to have handy at all times. Never know when you're going to need one. I've dropped those in there. Let's go to the Annotate tab, Dimension Styles, and voila, there they are. Acme Architectural and Decimal. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to my text styles because I want some of those as well. Oops, text styles. And here I can use either Shift or Control to grab my styles. I use Shift, drag, and drop into my template. And finally, I also have layouts. And so what I can do a couple of things here. I have two drawings. Let's expand this a little bit. I have two drawings here that contain my layouts. We have my it's an A size. This one has the A size layout that I want, and this one has the D size layout. Now, one of the things we can do, I want a title block. So I want to have this title block in my drawing. But I can insert it now. I'd have to erase it or create a layout from scratch. Instead, what I'm going to do is grab this A size layout, and I'm going to drag it in here. And note that it's now been added down here. And you'll see that in the preview, it's actually showing the layout itself with the title block. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for my layouts that I want for my D size in my template. So I'm going to add those, and I'm going to go ahead and close Design Center. Again, I could insert those blocks, but there's no need to. And I'll show you here, as soon as I delete the layouts I don't need, which is layout 1 and 2, if I now switch to A size, you'll see it brings in the title block that was on that layout. It also brings in the viewport that was in that particular layout. What it doesn't bring in is the page setup that I use for this sheet of paper. So it's real easy to fix this, and we'll need to bring them in for the D-sized layouts as well. I'm going to go into Page Setup Manager, and here it lists the 3 layouts I have in the drawing. It does not list model, which is how it's supposed to work. And I could create a new page setup, but instead I'm going to use the import command. And first I'm going to go to the A-size drawing, and it shows 4 different layouts I have. I could bring all of these in, but I just want the A-size one because I only grabbed the A-size title block. I'll go ahead and bring that in. And I'll go ahead and select it and set it current. We'll take a look at this in a moment, but as long as I'm here, let's go ahead and bring in the page setups for these other 2 layouts. So we'll go Import, D-size, and I'm going to select both of the page setups here and click OK. Obviously, I can't set them current here because I'm in the A size, but let's take a look. There's one more thing you need to be aware of here. I'm going to go into Modify for the A size, and you'll see that, hey, this STB is missing. Well, yeah, it is, because we're in a CTB, or color table, and also this has a different name, so I'm just going to go ahead and select AutoCAD LT CTB. That's the only thing I had to change here. Everything else is how I'd set it up originally. The plotter driver, paper size, and if I go to preview, everything works as expected. So that's all real easy to bring that in. Yes. Go ahead and close this. I'll switch over to D size, and we'll go to Page Setup Manager, and we'll select the monochrome, set current, modify. That plot style exists on this computer. It's an architectural D size, and it's monochrome. I'll just preview it just for grins. I'll exit and close, and one more time, Page Setup Manager. I'm going to use the presentation. I just double-click to make it current. We'll just verify everything is okay in here. See that? So that one's missing, AutoCAD CTB. Well, it's missing because I'm working in AutoCAD LT. In the CTB here, it's called AutoCAD LT CTB. Everything else looks good, though. I'll do a preview. Sure enough, it's all there. I'm going to click OK, yes, and close. Now, of course, I do want to save this, and I'll go ahead and close this. And now when I select the new command, oops, still changed to DWT. There we go. There's my Acme template. And however I saved it, of course, that's how it's going to show up. But it's that easy to create your template. And it just, you have to decide what kind of stuff you want to put in there. The one thing I did not show, I kind of skipped over it for some reason. Just another Voker awkward moment here. But I'm going to type units. And I should have done this earlier. You may want to go ahead and change the units to whatever. So I'm in the drawing file now, but in the template, I probably would have changed that to precision of 2, or maybe it's an architectural drawing, so I would change it to architectural. But that all depends on what kind of drawings you're going to be working with. Okay, so right now, I could set this as the Q new, okay, and that's one way to start every new drawing with this particular template. But we can also create a startup icon. Before I do that, are there any questions, Sean?
Hey, yeah, we did have a couple. I think some of them may have been answered, but there was one I think you might be touching on this a little bit later, but there was a question about which measurements to use for the default. I'm used to using inches. I watched some lessons online and they were using meters. So question around with the template, how do you determine if you're using inches or metric?
So there are a couple of system variables. First of all, everything, unless you are selecting one of the ISO templates, everything's going to be imperial. But let me type this in here. Measure. So there's a system variable called measure init, okay? And basically it controls whether you're starting your drawings, so without any other changes made, whether you're going to be starting your drawing all the time using imperial. So my operating system is set to imperial, so that's the default. But if I want AutoCAD to always start with a metric default, then I would want to change this to a value of 1, and that would scale everything to the 25.4 multiplier, and it would use the hatch pattern and line types for metric. It would apply those in the Windows registry. The thing about the units in AutoCAD is that a decimal value can be pretty much anything you want it to be. Okay, it is generic. It could be a decimal even if you aren't using an init system variable to set it. By default, we consider it to be an inch. You do have to, I would recommend using one of the metric templates, even to start from scratch. So right here, even if you're going to use this, open with no template metric if you're going to work with metric, because then you won't have to worry about, oh yeah, that's right, I just pretended these units were metric, okay? Because there are other variables in AutoCAD that determine how this drawing gets inserted into another drawing, or how objects are inserted into this drawing that would actually scale those objects based on those variables. It's kind of convoluted. Yeah, I know that, but there are so many different variables that determine that. 3 at least that I can think of on offhand. Ins unit being one of those. What is the other unit variable? Offhand, can't remember.
Yeah, no, I was going to say you're right. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. It all depends on maybe what project you're on, what they're using, or the system that you're using. So there's one's not right or wrong. It just all depends on what your current setup is and what you need to use.
Yeah, and if you're going to have dimension styles, you're going to have to they're generic. You're going to have to style those to metric sizes. Yeah, all kinds of factors.
Yep, and so there were a few that I'm going to leave till the end because they're not specific to the template, so I'm going to wait and see if we have time, just so we don't get off track. There's one more template question, which was, with an existing drawing from another person, can you pull in all the template elements with one mouse click? Well,
I suppose you could, using just the insert block command, and make sure it's set to explode, and maybe uncheck specify on screen. That would bring in everything, but it also bring in stuff you wouldn't want. So I would really recommend using Design Center. I'm going to do a Control-2, and that allows you to be very specific about what you want to bring in.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go back to you.
Okay, so I've just one more item I want to show. Some of you may have seen this in the tips and tricks session we had a while back. But again, in the options dialog, we can set any of the templates as a startup file. Okay, in this case, I still want to keep AutoCAD LT as a new drawing every time I start AutoCAD LT. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close AutoCAD LT right now. And I'm going to go ahead and just make my desktop the active area in the drawing here. All right. So you'll have to see all the trash on my desktop. Sorry about that. What I'm going to do is create a new shortcut here. And I'm going to browse over to my C drive program files.
You really got to clean up that desktop.
I know, but I left the big broom at home, so. All right, so, oops, x86, what am I doing? Airhead moment, there we go. Okay, so here's my AutoCAD LT, and I'm just going to browse to the AutoCAD LT exe, and it would be AutoCAD exe for AutoCAD, and I'm going to click next, and I'll call this Acme LT. I'll click finish. Then I'm going to go into my properties, and here's the target path for AutoCAD LT. And what I'm going to do is put a space here, and I'll copy this into a notepad in a moment to enlarge it a little bit. But I'm going to put a space, lowercase t, and I want to make sure to grab the path of that particular template. And you'll have to pardon me, I'm cheating here. I'm using my own utility, which isn't the best thing to do. Now, because it's in the template folder, I don't really have to worry about that path too much, but I do like to put it in there just in case. It's good practice. I've enclosed the entire path and template with quotes. And I'm going to click Apply and click OK. Double click on that. And since I'm ad-libbing, things tend to mess up, but we'll see. Should work. Yeah. Oh, I also forgot we have to change the system variable, but basically start. Yeah, this is why you don't ad-lib in front of a audience, people. Don't ever do that at home. For that to work, you actually have to turn the startup variable to 0. Startup is the system variable, F1. That turns off that new tab and starts the drawing using the template that I had. So startup to 0, and then you can launch the template. Well, I'll give it a try here while we're answering other questions. And while we're answering other questions, I'll copy that path into Notepad so you can see what I did. Okay? Oops, 2 zeros won't work. There we go. All right, Sean, let's go ahead and take whatever questions we have while I'm launching this.
All right, so let me see. This one's a little more lengthy, but I have my page set up in my layout set for D size, but my engineer would like to review my work on 11 by 17. Is there a way to set up in my template to print 11 by 17 without changing my page setup? I've left it at D size and then do zoom extents, center plot, and scale to fit each time.
Well, the way I would do it, so this is a D-size plot, and by the way, you may have noticed that it started right up with this particular template, drawing 1 now, since I set that start variable to 0. But what I would do, and what I've done, is go into the plot command instead of page setup. So you can just click on the plot dialog, and it's going to use the existing page setup. But what I will do then is tell it to scale this. No, I don't have my scale set up in this one properly. To 1 to 2 scale factor. You could also just change the paper size here to 11 by 17. So let's go like that. And then I would tell it to plot to extents, maybe center the plot, fit to paper, whatever you need to do to make it fit on there. If you have line weights applied, scale those line weights so that they don't look obnoxious, okay? But don't apply it to the layout. just tell it OK, and then it's an override plot is what you're doing. Okay, you're just saying for this one time, I want you to plot to this, and once you've plotted to that 11 by 17, okay, so it plots that out. The next time I go back into the plot dialog or page setup command, it's set to the D size that I had. So you're basically doing a quick override. And if you wanted to, I mean, you could make a copy of this layout like this. So I'll just go ahead and, whoops, hold down on the control key. Sorry. There we go. I'll hold down on the control key. I've made a copy, and I can just make that a permanent modification. Okay, actually, probably do it like this here. Go plot, 11 by 17. Normally, I'd just scale it to half, but like I said, I don't have those scale factors applied in this particular drawing. So I'll just do, and now I'll apply this to that layout. Okay, so I've got that layout. I'd want to rename it, make whatever changes. And you'll see it does not have a page setup applied to it. So you've just created that override for that particular, it's saved in that layout. You would want to create a page setup though, C size or B size or whatever size of paper you want.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Did you want non-template questions, or do you still have a few more template things to go over?
No, I am actually, that was it. Trying to keep it a little shorter on this one, answer questions.
Sure. So I was trying to look back through our sessions, Volker, because there was a few questions about viewports and you know, what exactly viewports are, how to set them up, how to use them. And I couldn't remember if we had covered that in one of our sessions so far.
Yeah, we did. When we, it was our session on working with layouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the folks that were asking about viewports, if you go back and look at the prior recordings, the one about layouts, we did cover that. And then certainly if there's any additional questions, feel free to post that to our feedback page, and we'll be happy to help additionally from there.
Was there anything specific about viewports? Because we do have a few moments here.
Well, let me just ask a couple, and then we'll go back if we have time for that, because it was really just around what viewports are and how they work, so it's a bit more expensive. So there was another couple questions around where to find the PowerPoints, and I had mentioned that those are sent in the follow-up email, but there were a few comments that there was not a follow-up email sent in all cases. So I'm just curious, Volker, if you know where's the best place for folks to get the PowerPoints.
Okay. So a little bit of self-promotion here for Sean and myself. We have our Without a Net Typepad blog, okay? So if you go there, that's a quick way to get there. Okay, I've posted the links there as well. However, the day after the webinar, there is an email that is sent out through GoToMeeting that does have all these links in it as well. If you're not receiving those emails, I guess let us know. If you're not seeing links in them, let us know. We did have some problems a few weeks ago, and they've been corrected as far as I know, because I also received those emails and prompting me to give us, fill out the survey or here are the links. So I'm not sure what is happening with that, but we'd like to know about it if you aren't receiving those.
Yeah, there's a few comments from folks saying that they haven't ever received a follow-up email. So what we'll do is we'll check into that on our end and see if we can make sure everything is set correctly. The other thing, just to check, it's probably not the case, but if someone else at your company was the one that signed up for the session and then just forwarded you the link, then it might just be going directly to the person who signed up. So it might be something to look at along those lines as well.
Yeah. That could very well be the case if you've shared a registration link. If somebody forwarded that to you, then you should sign up as yourself, and you will get that follow-up email, or ask your colleague or whoever sent you that link to send you the follow-up link. Yeah. But speaking of PowerPoints, just briefly before we forget, I have in this slide deck some additional resources, as I always have, and a lot of these are links discussing what we discussed. In this one here, just as an example, I've added a link to U.S. Coast Guard Naval Engineering drawing templates. They're available. I just did a quick Google for drawing standards and templates and found this. There are also other websites available that have templates available for you to take a look at. The bottom line is it's going to be about how your company works. Not everybody's going to work like the Coast Guard does. So.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to. Sorry, we do this all the time, people, for you who are new. All right. Next week we'll be doing duplicating objects, basically copy commands. Okay, the array command, copy, offset, copy, paste, whatever, all those. Following that, we'll be taking a look at the Content Explorer, which is a newer, more streamlined design center style of tool. Then we'll work with table styles, and one after that is customizing the CUI. So, Sean, you were going to say, sorry there.
No, that's okay. I was just and those with keen eyes may have noticed it earlier when you were in Design Center, but there's also a tool called Autodesk Seek, which is S-E-E-K. That's also a great place to get, I think there are some templates files up there as well, and blocks and other objects that you may want to use in AutoCAD. So right from the AutoCAD command line, you can just type in Seek, and it will bring you right to that website. So that's another good place to look if you're looking for those types of objects.
Yeah, so that's what Sean is referring to for those who were so focused on what I was doing here that they neglected to see that.
All right. So let me go ahead and I'll run our final poll here. Just trying to get an idea if you were able to learn something new or something you hadn't seen before. So this is great information for us, and that's great to see the majority are mentioning they did learn something new. So we'll get you your paycheck this week, Volker.
Yeah. Well, so again, we know your time's valuable. So for those who learned something new, we are very happy to hear this. For those who didn't, like I said, we know time's valuable. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe the entertainment factor did something for you. I don't know. All right. But we're still happy you attended, and even if you didn't learn anything else, I hope this wasn't a waste of time for you. So I think, unless you have more questions, I think we'll call it quits for today, Sean, or...
There's actually just one final one came in, so we do it just in the last few minutes, which was, is there a way to bring in data link setups with a template?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
The thing is that the data links are going to be so reliant on the operating system, on where the location of the files. It's possible. I haven't tried it. So, I mean, honestly, and I say honestly like I lie all of the other times, but honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably something, Troy. We'll have to test that out, and maybe in a future session we can loop back to that at the end and just let you know what we found. But it's
We're actually when we work with tables and table styles, we'll be touching on the data links. Won't not can't spend too much time on it because we need to focus on the topic. But if you bring it up, maybe we can try something. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll give it a shot.
Just the last thing I wanted to say was just thanking everybody for all the great questions. So we do like this to be an interactive session. So please, if you have questions, don't ever hesitate to ask. And myself, and this week it was Dave, and we usually have somebody each week trying to help get as many of those questions answered while Volker focuses on the session. So we do try and get those answered, and please don't hesitate to ask. We do like those questions.
So that being said, thanks again, everybody, and we shall see you next week, hopefully. Be here, please.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.